Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into, well, what I think is really the defining corporate rivalry of this decade.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this battle for the future of sustainable mobility, and it's being fought between two absolute giants, Tesla out of the US and BYD from China.
Yeah, and it's really more than just a rivalry, isn't it? It's like a collision of industrial philosophies.
Mm.
For years, Tesla was that visionary disruptor,
Right.
betting everything on a premium, high-tech ecosystem,
Yeah.
software, charging, energy production, all integrated.
Mm-hmm.
BYD, though, they built their foundation completely differently
Mm-hmm.
from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
Total industrial vertical integration. They focused on affordable volume across, well, almost every kind of transportation you can think of.
Exactly. So our mission today isn't just, who sold more cars last quarter. We've all seen those headlines fly by.
Sure.
We want to really dissect the core of their business models, their big technological bets, and their structural resilience. We want you, the listener, to really grasp the fundamental difference here. It's an ecosystem architect versus an industrial titan.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Maybe we start with that core strategic divide. You call it top-down versus bottom-up.
Good way to frame it. Tesla is the perfect example of the ecosystem architect operating totally top-down. They used that high-priced, super prestigious original Roadster
Mhm.
to generate both capital and, importantly, that brand reputation. Then they leveraged that, the reputation and the cash, to basically climb down the pricing ladder.
Towards the mass market.
Into the mass market, yeah. The Model 3 and Model Y.
And the primary goal here, strategically speaking, it isn't just profit per vehicle sold. It's about building this integrated experience
Right.
with, frankly, astronomically high barriers to exit for the customer.
Okay, give me a relatable example. If I own a Tesla and I decide, okay, I'm switching to, I don't know, a Kia EV, what do I actually lose in that switch?
Well, okay, if you've bought into the whole system, you might lose your home energy integration if you have a Powerwall.
Ah, okay.
You definitely lose seamless access to what's still considered the gold standard of fast charging, the supercharger network.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's opening up now, but Tesla owners still arguably get the best, most integrated experience.
True.
And maybe the biggest one. You lose your entire investment in full self-driving. That software spend, I mean, whether you think it's fully delivered yet or not,
Right, regardless of its current state.
it's a massive sunk cost. It locks you into their platform. And you can see this working that growing income stream they have from services and energy.
Yeah, I saw those numbers.
It's proof they're successfully diversifying revenue. It's not just about selling cars anymore.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, now contrast that with BYD, the vertical integration titan running a bottom-up strategy. They started with, what, buses, batteries?
Components, yeah, they are just the epitome of industrial efficiency.
And their advantage is structural resilience. It's actually quite fascinating when you look into it.
It really is.
Yeah.
There was a Bloomberg NEF report highlighting how this integration gives them just absolute control over their total cost and delivery schedules.
Total control.
They're one of the world's biggest battery manufacturers, period. They developed the Blade battery, which
Yeah.
uses LFP chemistry,
LFP, lithium iron phosphate.
right, which is known for being cheaper, much safer from a fire perspective, and highly durable over its lifespan.
And it goes deeper than just batteries, doesn't it? I remember a few years back that global chip shortage absolutely crippled major legacy automakers.
Oh, yeah,
But BYD seemed to just power through. How?
because they make their own chips. Well, some of the crucial ones.
Yeah.
Specifically, their subsidiary, BYD Semiconductor, manufactures their own IGBT chips and power modules.
IGBT, those are the high power switching components.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
control the EV's motor and the power flow. Having that internal manufacturing capacity gives them resilient and cost control that basically no other global automaker, not even Tesla, can fully match.
Because Tesla still relies on outside suppliers for most chips.
For most of its silicon, yes.
Wow. And BYD applies that vertical power just everywhere, not just consumer cars.
Everywhere. Electrifying trucks, forklifts, buses all over the world. They're literally tackling electrification on almost every single level of transportation.
Which I guess leads us pretty naturally to the core tech battleground.
Right.
How did these different structures actually play out in the hardware and the software?
Yeah, that's the heart of it.
If the engine was king in the 20th century, then the battery is like the new global currency of change.
That's a good way to put it.
Historically, Tesla chased that high-density chemistry, right? NCA or NCM, using cobalt.
Yep.
Because they needed maximum range. That was key to establishing their premium image early on.
Correct. And their big future bet is still the 4680 cell. That's the table's design. It's essentially an engineering trick to cut internal resistance, allow faster charging.
And the promise is huge cost reduction and range increase.
That's the promise, yeah. About 50% cost reduction, maybe 16% range increase if they can scale it fully. But here's the really key insight, I think. Okay, Tesla has actually been forced to adopt LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate, for their entry-level models, like the Model 3 standard range.
Right, they use CATL mostly for those, don't they?
Primarily CATL, yes.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about offering an option. It's Tesla basically acknowledging that BYD's low-cost, mass-market strategy, built on LFP, has fundamentally dictated the necessary chemistry for the volume segment of the market.
So BYD's long-term gamble on LFP, which is inherently cheaper, safer, less fire risk, it actually paid off. It forced the industry leader to follow suit.
Precisely. LFP's main historical drawback was lower energy density, shorter range, basically.
Yeah.
But BYD's plate battery design managed to overcome a lot of that. It achieved really competitive ranges. We're talking over 500 kilometers on the CLTC cycle, which is the Chinese standard.
Okay, that's significant range.
For vehicles like their Seal sedan, it puts it right up against the Model 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a study, I think, in the journal Power Sources, basically confirming that LFP is becoming the essential chemistry for global mass EV adoption because of that balance. Cost, durability, safety.
Oh, okay. So maybe the hardware, the mass production game that leans towards BYD. But hang on a second. Is BYD potentially the Nokia of EVs? You know, great hardware, but ultimately doomed because their software isn't revolutionary.
Wow.
Because Tesla is just the undisputed leader in software integration.
That is the absolutely critical question. Tesla is currently unparalleled in that tight software-hardware integration. You know, the over-the-air updates, the user experience, the slick interface.
And FSD.
And the massive long-term bet on FSD, full self-driving, that's their holy grail software play. It absolutely sets them apart.
So how does BYD respond to that specific software challenge?
They respond with competence, I'd say, not revolution. BYD takes a much more conservative approach here, meaning they offer perfectly functional 80s advanced driver assistance systems. They work well, but they're not prioritizing that chase for full level 4 or level 5 autonomy in the same way Tesla is.
So less ambition on the autonomy front.
Much less public ambition, yes. For their target customer, the average mass market buyer, the software experience needs to be functional, reliable, but it's probably secondary to the car's cost and its physical quality.
Their main differentiator remains the manufacturing backbone, not the AI layer on top.
Exactly. It's a different value proposition.
Okay, let's pivot then to the battlefield itself. Market positioning and financial scale. That incredible supply chain resilience you mentioned clearly translated into explosive global volume, which brings us right to the sales war headlines.
Yeah, we saw that seismic shift, didn't we?
Yeah.
Q4 2023, BYD actually surpassed Tesla in the number of fully electric vehicles, BEVs, sold globally in that single quarter.
Just BEVs, yeah.
And if you throw in plug-in hybrids, PHEVs, which BYD makes a lot of, especially for their home market in China,
their advantage is huge then.
their total volume advantage becomes overwhelming, yes.
And focusing on China, the world's biggest EV market by far, BYD is just the undisputed leader there.
Absolutely dominant. Sold over 1.5 million plug-ins in China alone in 2023. Tesla is definitely a powerful premium player there.
Right.
The Shanghai Gigafactory is key.
Check.
But they're way behind BYD in sheer volume on BYD's home turf.
But globally, Tesla still has that early mover advantage, right? Their brand recognition is massive.
They do.
Yeah.
Tesla still owns that early global advantage. Their factory footprint, US, China, Germany, it really made the Tesla brand synonymous with EVs everywhere for a long time.
But BYD isn't standing still. They're expanding aggressively now.
Very aggressively. They're already leading in markets like Thailand, Singapore, strong presence in Latin America, Brazil, Mexico. And crucially, they're building that major factory in Hungary.
Specifically targeting the European market from there.
Precisely. That's their beachhead for Europe.
Okay, but that European expansion, that's where this whole conversation starts to get geopolitical, isn't it? Because BYD faces some serious hurdles outside of Asia.
Absolutely. Two really big ones.
Where are they?
First is brand perception. You know, when European consumers pay a premium price for a car, they often expect the prestige that comes with a Tesla badge, or maybe a legacy German brand like BMW or Mercedes.
BYD doesn't have that cachet yet.
Not yet. They're fighting an uphill battle on that perception front. And second, maybe even more critical, protectionism.
Tariffs?
Tariffs and subsidies investigations. The European Commission specifically put the market on notice back in 2023 about potential investigations into Chinese EV subsidies.
Right, I remember that.
If significant tariffs materialize, that could drastically slow down BYD's momentum in key Western markets like Europe.
Okay, so we see these diverging models playing out in strategy, tech, market share. How does it look on the financial side, the bottom line?
Well, Tesla's model, even with margins getting squeezed recently because of the price wars,
Yeah, they cut prices quite a bit.
they did. But historically, it allowed for these really high gross margins, and that profit was immediately plowed back into massive R&D spending.
Right. FSD development, scaling up the 4680 battery line, even the Optimus robot,
Exactly. They're betting billions on those future technologies.
and BYD. Tighter margins.
Tighter margins per vehicle, yes, but they are the masters of scale. And that complete vertical integration controlling everything from raw materials processing, seemingly, all the way up to the finished car.
That ensures profitability.
It ensures they can remain profitable even in that really fiercely competitive low-cost end of the market. They win through sheer volume and that deep cost control.
Okay. So we've laid out the business structures, the different tech bets, the market dynamics. The huge question remains, is this a zero-sum game? Can only one win? Or is the market actually big enough for both these giants?
Synthesizing all this, I think the data strongly suggests there isn't going to be a single winner, not in the traditional sense. These two paradigms are highly likely to just coexist. Yeah. Tesla dominates that premium ecosystem, the software layer, the global aspirational brand. BYD dominates cost efficiency, sheer volume, and that incredible industrial scale through vertical integration.
So both models are proving successful because they're essentially targeting different, though sometimes overlapping, segments of this rapidly growing EV market.
That seems to be the case right now, yes.
Okay, so that gives us maybe two immediate big takeaways from our discussion. First, let's circle back to that LFP battery strategy.
Right. BYD's foundational bet on LFP chemistry for mass production, it was just fundamentally correct for that goal. It dictated the industry shift, arguably forcing everyone, Tesla included, to adopt it for their volume models.
So the next phase there is the race for true next-gen battery tech. Solid state, or maybe Tesla finally cracking the code on scaling the 4680.
That looks like the next frontier in battery chemistry, yes.
Okay. And the second big takeaway seems to be that this whole battle has quietly moved. Well, beyond just the car itself.
Oh, absolutely. It's moved beyond the automobile.
Yeah.
They are both competing now for the future of the energy grid.
How so?
They both clearly understand the vehicle is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. They're competing to be the architects of tomorrow's entire energy infrastructure.
So Tesla with its megapacks.
Tesla's heavily invested in utility-scale storage with Megapack, plus their solar solutions, Powerwall at home.
And BYD.
BYD is doing much the same, just starting from a different angle. They leverage their commercial electric fleets, buses, trucks, and they also have huge utility-scale battery storage system deployments globally.
So they're fighting for total energy system control, really, not just what's parked in your garage.
That seems to be the long-term strategic play for both, yes.
It's an incredible dynamic. And, you know, the fierce competition between them, it is accelerating the global energy transition that ultimately benefits all of us, right?
It absolutely does. That competition is a powerful driver. But maybe let's leave you, the listener, with a final thought that kind of builds on those challenges we talked about.
Okay, a provocative one.
Hopefully. Look, this intense rivalry has created really clear pressure points for both companies. Tesla has to deliver more on the FSD promise, eventually, and critically, they need to launch a truly viable, truly low-cost model, maybe hitting that crucial 25,000 Perry price point everyone talks about.
Or risk losing the mass market entirely.
Or risk ceding huge swaths of the global mass market to BYD and others. Meanwhile, BYD has to build a genuinely desirable global brand beyond just affordable, and they absolutely must navigate those potential protectionist tariffs in the West.
Okay, so those are big ifs for both.
They are. So here's the thought. What if the consumer car battle kind of plateaus because of these difficulties? What happens to the future of energy when the main competitive front shifts entirely away from the consumer vehicle and focuses squarely on utility-scale energy storage? That's the sector where both companies are now pouring enormous investment.
So the real battleground moves from the driveway to the power grid itself.
Exactly. That's where the true future of power generation, distribution, and stability might be won or lost. And ultimately, that future might have surprisingly little to do with whether you personally drive a Model Y or a BYD Seal.